from AT&T Park in San Francisco, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Giants. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday to you. We're in San Francisco, a little cloudy, but no real threat of rain to interfere, which is indeed a high-pressure game for the Giants. Just as well because the Dodgers have found this place being almost a cemetery for their hopes. In the last 19 games that the Dodgers have played here at AT&T Park, they've lost 15 of the 19. Naturally, the Giants would like them knock them off one more time because although the Dodgers are just getting ready for their game against Washington at the end of next week, for the Giants, they're battling to stay alive in the wild card race. So while we're watching the Giants and the Dodgers, we'll also give you reports on Cardinals because they figure into the mix as well. As far as the pitching is concerned, Kenta Maeda will have a workout today and a big game for left-hander Matt Moore of the Giants. So those are the pregame notes. The big thing is the game, and we'll be getting to that, and a good one right after this. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you exclusively on Spectrum.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ben Scully speaking to you.
Here we go. The 1962 pennant race is underway at Dodger Stadium.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. It's time for Dodger Baseball. Welcome to opening day. Life begins on opening day, especially a home opener. Someone asked me the other day, what would you miss the most when you leave the job? And I thought a moment, and I said the roar of the crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vin Scully.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Sunday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. We're at AT&T Park for a giant Dodger ball game. Talk about putting the ribbon on the package. What a tremendous way to conclude the regular season. And as you probably know, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, they will be delighted to get out of here. Since 2015, the Dodgers have played 19 games against the Giants here. And the Giants have won 15 of the 19. For the Dodgers today, no pressure whatsoever. For Dave Roberts, he is trying to go through a salute from the umpires to get the game going. And Roberts, among other things, has announced that Andre Ethier will be on the roster as far as the series with Washington. But for the Dodgers, they have one other idea, and that is to knock off the Giants, who are one game away from getting into the wild card. So there's a lot at stake for San Francisco, and here goes Matt Moore's first pitch in for a strike to Howie Kendrick. Matt Moore, what's that rhyme about the little girl with the curl? When she was good, she was very, very good, and when she was bad, she was horrid. Pitch fouled away. Well, no intent to slam Matt Moore, but he is 2-2 against the Dodgers. In his 2 wins, he's allowed 1 unearned run in 15 innings. In his 2 losses, he's allowed 13 earned runs in 5 innings. So for Bruce Bochy, his first thought, which Matt Moore is out there on the mound? Kendrick hitting .255, struggling of late, 0 for 19. Matt into the windup. The left-hander comes back and misses low and inside. Matthew Cody Moore, that's his name, out of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. He was an 8th-round pick by the Devil Rays at a high school in 2007. 2-2, fouled away back into the net. On this October the 2nd, the temperature here is 62 degrees. Kind of an angry sky at about 6:30 this morning, but it's softened up a bit. Light breeze is blowing right to left, and the sky has punctures in it with a little bit of blue overhead. 2-2 pitch on the way. Moore's fastball is fouled back. Good placement. That fastball outside part of the plate and hurrying up there at 94 miles an hour. So Howie Kendrick, the veteran, has made so many contributions, playing third, playing second, playing left. You name it, he's in for it. And the 2-2 pitch on the way, breaking ball, and that's going to go foul down the right field line. So the breeze today blowing right to left. Right-hand batters then facing a left-hander might get a little push for the balls that they hit deep to left. As far as the dimensions here, perhaps the most important part, it's 399 to straightaway center. The wall basically 11 feet high, except for the foul pole and right to right center. That's a good 25 feet high. The pitch is low, ball 3. And usually when you look out in the water, McCovey's Cove directly behind right field, there are fellows and ladies in boats waiting for home runs. The next pitch is inside, ball 4 to Howie Kendrick. We can take a look at the Dodger lineup. Kendrick opened up. You have Justin Turner hitting second, Corey Seager third, and Yasiel Puig is hitting cleanup against a left-hander. Adrian Gonzalez, Yasmani Grandal, Jock Peterson. Then you have Chase Utley and Kenta Maeda, a 16-game winner on the hill for the Dodgers. Justin Turner has been a solid, terrific player. Last week hitting over 400, is 27 home runs, 990 RBIs, but he has struggled against left-handers, and he takes ball. He came in yesterday hitting .211, and he was 0 for 4. And by the way, what a great moment that was for the rookie kid pitcher for the Giants, not only to pick up his first major league victory, it was, well, it was David and Goliath, as David beat Clayton Kershaw. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball at the knees for a strike. By the way, the plate umpire charged with the responsibility of calling balls and strikes as Kershaw looks on. That would be Brian Knight. Brian Knight has been an umpire in the league for almost 8 years. When John Lester pitched a no-hitter at Fenway, he was the plate umpire. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Moore deals. Fastball jammed him. Fouled away off to the right. And the count 1-2. It is a sellout crowd. Needless to say, it's such an important game for the San Francisco Giants. It'll be, I believe, 489 consecutive sellouts at AT&T. So it's the right number here. All right, Moore with a runner at first, out in front of Justin with a 1-ball 2-strike count, and the phenomenal rookie Corey Seager waiting on deck. Moore, a high set at the far, breaking ball lifted to left center. Over for it is Pagan, and makes the catch and gets it back in. Although it's a very cloudy sky, when Pagan broke to his left, boy, did his sunglasses glisten. So there is some sunlight up there despite all of the clouds. So a long fly ball to left, one down. Kendrick holding at first, and the batter is Corey Seager. Seager phenomenally has 193 hits, batting .309, 26 home runs, 72 RBIs, and in there every day at the most talented position for sure. Moore with one out looks over at first at Kendrick, works Seager a little low, and the ball pushed out in front of the plate by Buster Posey. As far as Kendrick is concerned, he has stolen 10 out of 12. And remember, he's up against a left-hander with a pretty good move. Seager looks down to Chris Woodard to see if there might be a hit-and-run play. We're just starting. 1 ball and no strikes, 1 out. Kendrick at first, Seager at the plate, and Yasiel Puig on deck. 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball squirted up the middle. The feed to second for 1. They turn it for a double play. So Joe Panik gets it started. Down go the Dodgers. Giants hoping for smooth sailing, and at the end of half an inning, no score. Bottom of the first inning, no score. A high-spirited crowd reacting to the double play. Now we'll take a look at Bruce Bochy's card, and here are the names therein. It will start off with Denard Span in center, followed by Brandon Belt at first, and Buster Posey behind the plate. Hunter Pence in right field. You have Brandon Crawford at short and Angel Pagan in left. Joe Panik at second. Connor Gillespie at third. And the pitcher, Matt Moore. Third base, it was interesting earlier. Eduardo Nunez taking ground balls. He's had a bad hamstring. They really miss him in this tough series, but he could not go. So we've seen Gordon Beckham, and today Connor Gillespie at third base. So leading off Denard Span, and on the mound for the Dodgers, Kenta Maeda. The right-hander's first pitch off the plate, 1 ball and no strikes. Maeda is not a big man. Denard Span hitting .263, has a little 5-game hitting streak. So Span trying to get something started, kind of an open stance, gets into a crouch and then pulls one into right field for a base hit. So the Dodger leadoff man, Howie Kendrick, walked, and the Giant leadoff man is Denard Span, who singles. And of course, a reminder to the Dodgers that Span used to play, besides Minnesota, with the Washington Nationals. So as Denard chats with Adrian Gonzalez, the batter now is Brandon Belt, who, interestingly enough, he's a big power hitter. He has 17 home runs, but he also shows speed. He has 8 triples, but does not have a stolen base. Big guy out of Nacogdoches, Texas. Gives you a nice big strike zone. Brandon 6'5", about 220, and takes a strike. Had a big 3-run home run the other night. So Belt trying to keep it going. Denard Span with a base hit at first. The Dodgers have been crushed here this year and last. Giants have beaten the Dodgers 7 of 9 here, and as we mentioned, 15 of 19 since 2015. Fastball from Maeda inside, and the count goes 1 ball and 1 strike. Kenta Maeda against a big Brandon Belt. Maeda's 6 feet, but he might be 155 to 160. He is in great shape, needless to say, and he has won 16 while losing 10. Right-hander straightens up, and the 1-1 pitch to Brandon Belt. Maeda delivers, and a drive to right. Going back on the ball is Puig to the wall. It's going to be off the wall. Here comes Denard Span to third. They'll stop him on a long double by Brandon Belt. And just like it has been for 2 years, the Dodgers are in trouble at AT&T Park. That area where the ball was hit, the real crease in the wall is 421 feet away from home plate, and the wall itself 25 feet high. That hit the base of the wall and caromed off to the left, and Puig did a pretty good job of running it down and getting the ball back in the infield. So the Giants come out. Second and third, nobody out. Posey, Pennick, and Crawford due out. So Maeda planting the right foot, in trouble immediately. And the veteran catcher, the leader of the club, Posey, checks in. Maeda out of his stretch. Fastball is lined down the right field line. Fair ball. Hits the wall. Caroms back to Puig. 2 runs will score on a long single by Buster Posey. And the Giants lead 2-0. The sun has broken through the clouds, and it is shining on the Giants for the moment. Posey just went the other way, and he hit the chalk, the right field foul line, and went down 309 feet away, scoring easily Spahn and Belt. So it is 2-0 San Francisco, and here is Hunter Pence. And the chant comes up again once more with feeling. Beat L.A. Hunter Pence, right-hand batter, takes a big curveball for a strike, and the count 0-1. Hunter 6'4", 215 out of Arlington, Texas, and perhaps the most consistent player that you'll find around certainly in the National League. Open stance, bends at the knees. The old line, he is constantly in motion. He would make Coffey nervous. Well, the pitch way outside, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. At home, Pence averages 285. On the road, 282. Against left-handers, 285. Right-handers, 283. Daytime, 289. Nighttime, 281. Runners in scoring position, 295. So consistency, a jewel, and you're also Hunter Pence. He takes a bad swing and a bad pitch. That's what he's been doing in the entire series. I'm not sure if he feels he's pressing, but he has rarely swung at a strike. He's been chasing balls just about every at-bat. Struck out a couple of times Friday, struck out again yesterday, and takes a bad swing on the first pitch. The 1-2 pitch is hacked back foul. That thing was up a bit in the strike zone. So Hunter Pence against Kenta Maeda. Well, the Giants, of course, so important. Should the Giants win today or the Cardinals lose, Bruce Bochy will have a wild card again. And remember, he was a wild card champion twice. Here's the 1-2 pitch, a little low, 2-2. Of course, the folks up here in San Francisco feel that the even years are so important because the Giants won in 2010 and 12 and 14. 2 of those as the wild card going all the way. All right, Hunter Pence waiting 2-0 in favor of the Giants. Posey at first, nobody out. Pence in a crouch. Crawford, the left-hand hitter, on deck. Here comes Maeda, swung on and missed, slider down and away, and Hunter Pence continues to hack away, not coming up with what the Giants are accustomed to seeing. So Maeda gets a strikeout, and here is Brandon Michael Crawford, who is very close, certainly being one of the MVPs. He and Javier Lopez, the left-hand reliever, received the highly coveted Willie Mack Award, named after Willie McCovey, who is here taking in the game. Crawford, the last week, hitting .458. He has 12 home runs and usually finds to do some damage against the Dodgers. Maeda's sinker in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. The breeze has changed. Normally we saw it right to left. Now it's blowing left to right. And whenever you come to this ballpark, besides to watch the players, you're forever looking at the flags. So with the wind blowing out, you have a left-hand batter with 12 home runs trying to take advantage of it. Maeda set at the belt. Kenta comes back, and it's pulled foul outside of first and down the line. There are a lot of youngsters who are perhaps enthralled about Giants and the Dodgers banging heads. And we might try not to get in the way of the hit and runs and everything else that takes place, but we might tell you a little bit about the origin of the Giant-Dodger rivalry, and not to go too far back. We would start 1933 when the Giants and Bill Terry, the manager, won the World Series. The Brooklyn Dodgers finished 26.5 games back. The pitch to Crawford fouled away. That runs the count to 1-2. So in spring training in 1934, they were interviewing Bill Terry, and somebody asked him about the Brooklyn Dodger prospects, and Terry said, "Oh, the Dodgers, I haven't heard anything from them. Are they still in the league?" Well, the borough of Churches suddenly became anything but, and they were furious at Terry and the Giants. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Crawford. Big swing and a miss. Down he goes. So consecutive strikeouts for Kenta Maeda after the Giants had 3 base hits in a row for 2 runs. Well, the Giants played well in 1934, but their lead certainly disappeared late September. They were a beaten up, tired club. They had 2 games left with the Dodgers, and they were tied with the famous Gas House gang of the St. Louis Cardinals, led by Dizzy and Paul Dean. What happened? Well, the Giants lost to the Dodgers on Saturday, and they lost Sunday as that chopper foul down the line. So the devastated Giants lost 2 straight to the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the Cardinals wound up winning the pennant by 2 games. So that was really the beginning modern time. The remark about are they still in the league and the Dodgers coming back to wreck the Giant plan. But there are so many others, and we'll try to drop them in once in a while. Okay, here's Angel Pagan, switch hitter, batting left-handed, fouls one off to the left out of play. Well, we are losing our patch of blue overhead, and the gray clouds are winning the battle overhead. Yeah, it's getting a little on the dark and dreary side, and as a big ship goes sailing by, we might very well have to turn the lights on. Bottom of the first, 2-0 favor of the Giants. Interesting to compare the two teams in another area. As far as the Western Division is concerned, the Giants are the better team. The runner takes a big lead. I don't know where he was going, and by this time they have Posey hung up, and it's Grandal running him back to first. Finally gives it in time for the out to Adrian Gonzalez, and that's it. I'm not sure if there was a hit and run play on, and Posey left early, but he had nowhere to go, and they hang him out to dry for sure. But the Giants get 2, and at the end of an inning, 2-0 San Francisco. Say, friends, don't forget limited tickets to the Dodger home games for the Division Series and the potential Championship Series are on sale right now. So visit Dodgers.com/postseason to order yours today. Cloudy day, Giants lead 2-0. Yasiel Puig draws a few boos. Then it'll be Gonzalez and Grandal. Moore out of a windup. The young left-hander ready, comes with a fastball, swung on and missed. And the count 0-1. Yasiel, for one reason or another, every time he does something against Bumgarner, and if their eyes lock, why, Madison Bumgarner starts hollering, "Don't look at me, don't look at me." Here's the strike one pitch on the way. Fastball foul back. Puig with a good sense of humor as you look at Madison. Puig had some T-shirts made up that said, "Don't look at me." Yasiel took it as a big joke. And I think Bumgarner was a little embarrassed that he got over the top with that great competitive spirit of his. So 0-2 the count to Yasiel Puig. Moore ready, just inside and low. Crowd groans. There they are. And this in the Dodger clubhouse wearing the blue T-shirts. "Don't look at me." Well, that's been a gag, but some of the fans, of all people, boo Puig. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that's low and inside, 2-2. Of course, naturally, the fans are really in for the Giants, so they want every pitch to be a strike, understandably. And the wind continues to blow right to left. Moore into his windup, 2-2 pitch, fastball foul back. And the fastball at 96. Moore is certainly big enough to throw hard. Matthew Cody Moore by name, facing Yasiel Puig. Moore is 6'3" and 210. He had Tommy John surgery in April of 2014. Matt ready, a high set into his windup now, and the 2-2 pitch, foul back again. Interesting story about Matt Moore. I mean, here he is. He's a professional left-hand pitcher in baseball, and his older brother always played better than he did. In fact, his older brother was the inspiration for him to excel in anything. 2-2 pitch on the way is low and inside, ball 3. 3-2. Older brother had one great line to spur Matt Moore because the older brother beat him all the time. How are you going to improve if you're not playing somebody better? Well, here's the 3-2 pitch on the way, and it's swung on and fouled away off to the right. A little tiny tear showing blue, straightaway center, high up above the light tower, just a wee bit. And a 3-2 count to Yasiel Puig. 2-0 Giants. We're in the top of the second inning. Moore to the windup, and the 3-2 pitch on the way is swung on, popped up, off to the right side. Brandon Belt in fair ground makes the catch. So Yasiel Puig pops up. Now slowly going back to the dugout, looking back as if something had happened. Nothing did, except the ball found Belt's glove. And here's Adrian Gonzalez. He's had 90 RBIs for the 10th straight year. He's the butter and egg man. He's been delivering for years, hitting .284 with 18 home runs. Moore into the windup, works a fastball away. 1 ball and no strikes. So Adrian, the leader, the veteran, the inspiration, checking in with 1 out and the bases empty. The 1-0 pitch is low. Ball 2, 2-0. We were talking about Matt Moore and his wins and losses, and the 2 games he pitched at Dodger Stadium. 1 game he went 8 2/3 and allowed 1 hit, and the other game he allowed 7 hits and 6 runs in 1 inning. 2-1 the count now, as Moore out in front with a 2-0 lead, to that cushion to lean on a little bit. Matt about ready, and the 2-1 pitch to Adrian is swung on, whacked to left field, but slicing, a room service fly ball right into the glove of Angel Pagan. It's always an outfielder's dream when the ball comes to you and you don't have to run after it. So with 2 out, Yasmani Grandal, playing most every day, gets relief about once a week. Switch hitter, losing power, however, when he bats right-handed. Grandal has 27 home runs, 4 hit right-handed, 23 left-handed. The Grandal takes 1 ball and no strikes. 2 down, bases empty. Giants lead the Dodgers 2-0, but we're only in the 2nd inning. Matt Moore into the windup, comes back 1-0, works it high. 2 balls and no strikes. Yasmani Grandal came over to the Dodgers from San Diego, and he has turned out to be a tremendous blessing. 2-0 pitch coming up, swung on, fouled away off to the right. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 down. If you joined us a little late, in the bottom of the 1st, Span singled to right, Belt doubled to right to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. Posey singled to right to drive in the 2. 2-1 pitch, good fastball at the knees, outside part of the plate, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Moore, 1 year with the Rays, he was 17-4. I mean, you're looking at a very accomplished left-hander. And the 2-2 pitch on the way, fastball away, ball 3. Of course, yesterday Ty Blach really gave the Giants a tremendous lift. He went 8 and allowed just 2 hits and nothing else. There he is, elbows on the railing. The 3-2 pitch, check swing on a pitch inside. So a 2-out walk to Yasmani Grandal, and that will bring up Jock Peterson. We mentioned earlier that in the Washington series, best 3 out of 5, that Andre Ethier is going to make the roster. Dave Roberts talking to Justin Turner right now, but he was talking about the quality of at-bats that Ethier has had. His leg feels good, Dave said, and he has value coming off the bench. So that was kind of a long shot announcement, but Ethier is on the squad. So here is Jock Peterson, left-hand hitting center fielder. Straight up, then strides and takes a pitch high. They look at 3rd, and Kerwin Danley says strike. And the count 0-1, much to the displeasure of young Peterson. Jock is certainly at his time, however. Peterson, 25 home runs, 68 runs batted in. Young left-hander waiting at the plate. Peterson does pay a price of those home runs. He has struck out 128 times. Moore, a high set at the bill of the cap, comes back with a good fastball foul back. So immediately out in front of Peterson, no balls and 2 strikes. So Matt made 18 pitches in the first inning. He has now made 18 pitches here in the second inning. 2 out. Grandal at first, held on by Bell. 0-2 the count. Moore set. Here he comes and got him on the outside corner with a fastball. So Jock Peterson is caught looking. The Dodgers lead Grandal with a walk at first. And at the end of an inning and a half, it's 2-0 San Francisco. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by the Dodge Challenger. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. And by BJ's Restaurant and Brew House. Stop by today and make every moment count. Broadcasters way back in Brooklyn, the veteran Red Barber, kind of the father, the older brother Connie Desmond, and the kid. And another scene very early, probably back in 1950, with Red Barber. And the distinguished and great Mel Allen and Al Helford joining a team group. Bottom of the second inning, 2-0 in favor of the Giants. Angel Pagan takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Pagan switch hitter, 2 for 5 with a home run. He hit the home run right-handed to left field against Kershaw. Strike one pitch on the way, swung on and fouled away down the left field line. Kendrick over to take a look, but that's all. 0-2 the count to Angel Pagan from Rio Pedras in Puerto Rico. Angel originally signed by the Mets back in 1999. Good, solid ball player. He's had his problems, including a bad back, but he's doing very well. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Maeda delivers, and it's poked on the ground to short. Backhanded by Seager, who throws him out. The pitch actually was way out of the strike zone. Pagan had committed and tapped it to short, and we have one away. Maeda giving up 2 runs to the first 3 batters. The most victories by a Japanese pitcher in the major leagues. That would be Daisuke Matsuoka of the Red Sox back in 2008. Matsuoka was 18-3. Kenta is 16-10. But one other thing, as a rookie for the Dodgers, 16 wins. The man ahead of him, Rick Sutcliffe, who won 17. Here's Joe Panik, struggling, hitting .239, but dangerous with 10 home runs. Here comes Maeda, change up, floats in there like a soap bubble for a strike, and the count 0-1. Flags right now are mixed up. Atop the scoreboard, they're blowing out. In right field, they're just about hanging limply at the poles. 0-1 the count. And the strike one pitch, little low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, there's kind of a note of irony today. After all, the Giants would love it if the Cardinals lost. Well, the pitcher for the Pirates is Ryan Vogelsong, long a pitcher for San Francisco. 1-1 pitch on the way, poked up the middle. Utley diving, can't come up with it as it rolls on out into center field. Utley never saw a ground ball that he wouldn't dive at, but he had no chance. And by the way, the infield, and this is no knock on the Giants, but the infield is very, very wet and dark, which brings up great memories of Maury Wills in 1962. Alvin Dark was the manager in Candlestick Park, and they drowned the infield in order to slow Maury Wills down. And just looking at it being as dark as it appears, I immediately think of 1962. Okay, 1-out single by Joe Panik up the middle. And the batter, Connor Gillespie. Gillespie had a big extra base hit Friday night. He was a pinch hitter, doubled to right field, and drove in a couple in the 6th inning to help the Giants win 9-3. They've tried the newcomer, Gordon Beckham, but it certainly hasn't worked offensively. So they've decided to give Gillespie a shot, especially against the right-hand pitcher. They are moving to the top of the second inning. Pirates Cardinals, no score. Adam Wainwright, the general, is pitching for the Cardinals, and apparently Ryan Vogelsong was in a little trouble, but he got out of it. So we'll watch that one for you all day long. The pitch sliced down the left field line. It is going to land fair. Kick up against the wall. Racing to third is Panic. They'll hold him there on a slicing double by Gillespie, who has done it again. So second and third, one out. Maeda in trouble again. The Giants leading 2-0. They had a single by Span, double by Belt, single by Posey, and now a single by Panic and a double by Gillespie. Second and third, one out, and Matt Moore coming up. Look at the sheet that is provided so we can give you an up-to-the-minute more about Moore. And let's just say this, he is not much of a hitter. He is 0 for 20. Struck out 10 of the 20 plate appearances. Dodger infield plays up. On deck, the left-hand hitting Denard Span. Moore, a slow swing, trying to time an even slower pitch, and the count 0-1. So that was a scene for the slow motion camera. 0-1 the count. Giants 2, Dodgers nothing. Bottom of the second inning. Kenta Maeda, who figures prominently in the pitching for the upcoming Washington series. Kershaw, Hill, and Maeda. 0-1 the count. Kenta asking Grandal to go over the signs again. Grandal shuffles the cards, and here we go. The strike one pitch, a bunt back to the mound, squeeze play, the feed, and the tag by Grandal. Holding at second base is Gillespie. So the Giants, with a poor hitting pitcher, decide to try to squeeze, and he was a poor bunter because he got the bunt right out in front of the plate, fielded by Maeda, who fed Grandal, and there was no place to Panic go and be tagged out. So a busted squeeze play. 2 down, and Denard Span coming up. So the play goes 1-2. Time for the moment. Maeda goes behind the mound thinking things over. With all that was going on, Gillespie had to hold at second base. And here's Denard Span. A couple of years ago, he had a 29-game hitting streak. That was back in 2013. Gets into a crouch and looks, and it's ball one. Span is an even 6, 210-pounder, a veteran, 32 years old. He was a first-round pick by the Minnesota Twins out of high school back in 2002. Maeda trying to get out of a jam. The 1-0 pitch is fastball high, throw down to second, not in time. Grandal reacting as if he thought he had him. Gillespie just did get back. Watching Chase Utley down there at second base. It was Seager covering, and Utley came over to the bag just to look like he was taking a look at the play, and then all of a sudden Chase was bent over fussing with his shoes. Thought maybe he had hurt his back, but he's apparently okay. At 37, of course, anything that Utley does that's out of the normal, you immediately wonder. So Denard Span trying to pick up Gillespie. 2-0 Giants. Second inning. Maeda trying to get out of the inning without any trouble, and a change up way outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Kenta Maeda from Osaka. He was a #1 pitcher for the Hiroshima Carp out of high school. That was 10 years ago. 28-year-old right-hander ready, and the 2-1 pitch off speed, catches the outside corner. Came up there at 72 miles an hour. When Span had his 29-game hitting streak, he hit .388 during the streak. Piled up 5 doubles, couple of triples, 2 home runs, and 9 RBIs. He also had a problem with his hip a year ago. Left-hand batter waiting, and the 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball foul back. That one a little bit down and in. Of course, Span, a veteran. If you go back to 2014, 2 years ago, he picked up his 1,000th career base hit. He was also a good wide receiver in Florida in high school, and he was a member of a U.S. junior team, finished second in a Pan Am tournament in Cuba. Though he is trying to pick up the runners with Brandon Belt on deck. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way, taken high, ball 3. So 3-2 with the dangerous Belt waiting on deck. So Maeda certainly want to get one in the strike zone now. Gillespie and Moore out there on the lines. Giants lead 2-0, second inning. Maeda ready. Kenta checks. Here he comes. Curveball whacked to right field. Back goes Puig. It's over his head, up against the wall. That means 2 runs will score. Span is on his way to third. An incredible throw by Puig, but it gets away from Turner. A triple for Span. 2 more come in, and the Giants are dancing in the streets, leading 4-0. So Span is 2 for 2, and he unloaded on a big slow curveball. He golfed it up against the right field wall at 365 feet away. And by the time Puig picked up, he airmailed it to third. Only it got away from Turner in a haste to catch and tag. What a throw by Yasiel Puig. But what a clutch base hit by Denard Span. So 4 runs on 6 hits in an inning and 2/3 against Kenta Maeda. And the batter is Brandon Belt. Maeda's fastball is swung on and missed. Another problem for Kenta Maeda with a runner at third. I'm sure he knows he's made 6 wild pitches this year. So Span coming down the line with 2 out. Strike 1 pitch to Belt is taken high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Giants 4, Dodgers 0. Second inning. And a sellout crowd at AT&T Park. That should shake up the Cardinals a little bit when they post that score on the scoreboard. 1-1 is whacked down the right field line, foul. It was a pitch up and in, and boy did Belt turn in a hurry, but hooked it too much. So Kenta Maeda having a rough start, giving up 2 runs in the first inning and 2 more in the second. So early in the game, he has given up 3 singles, 2 doubles, and a triple. Maeda into his windup. Slender right-hander comes back 1-2, and he's high with a fastball, and the count 2-2. Maeda back in 2010 was the top pitcher in Japanese professional baseball. He threw a no-hitter. He was pretty famous as Dave Roberts looks on. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Fast one low. Nice block and save by Yasmani Grandal. That was in the dirt. Could easily have been that 7th wild pitch. Three and 2 the count. Brandon Belt backs out for the moment. Waiting on deck, Buster Posey. Maeda looking for help, trying to get out of the inning. Kenta into his windup, and the 3-2 pitch is off speed for ball 4. So it's gray overhead, but for Maeda, it feels like the sky is falling. He doesn't need Chicken Little. Dave Roberts has to be a little concerned, along with the coach, Rick Honeycutt. So Buster Posey will check in with Hunter Pence on deck. First and third. Belt at first. Spahn, who just tripled in 2. Giants leading 4-0. Posey singled and drove in 2 in the first inning. Maeda straightens up, set at the belt, and the first pitch to Posey swung on and missed. 0-1 the count. Breaking ball down and away. Big crowd quiet for the moment, trying to pep up the battery, and they'll be back up hollering again in a moment. 0-1 to Buster Posey. The strike one fastball is low and inside, and another pitch that bounced in the dirt. So in the first inning, Spahn singled, Belt doubled, and Posey singled them both home. Here you had Panic single, Gillespie double, a busted squeeze play, only to have Spahn triple in 2. 1-1 strike the count to Buster. Gerald Dempsey Posey III takes a pitch down and away. Rookie of the Year back in 2010. MVP. He's been on 3 World Championship winning teams in 5 years. 3 times an All-Star, and in 2013 signed a 9-year deal for $167 million. Maeda delivers, and that's whacked into right center. Scoring easily is Spahn. On his way to third is Belt, and the Giants are leading now handily 5-0. For the Dodgers, it's only serious thinking ahead. For Washington, what is wrong with Kenta Maeda? For the Giants, of course, it's a huge game. So time now. The Dodgers have to bring their interpreter out. That's Will Ireton. So Honeycutt talking, Ireton translating. Maeda head down, kind of pawing at the dirt. Chase Utley, Grandal, Gonzalez all out on the mound. Dodgers in trouble without a doubt. Down 5-0 in the second inning. Okay, it has been delivered, translated. In any words in baseball, get some outs. Get the ball over the plate. Get something on it. And here is Hunter Pence. Hunter has been struggling throughout the series, and yet the Dodgers know he's a terrific player, hitting .289, 13 home runs, 56 runs batted in. But he's just been a wild man swinging the bat in this series. So you have Belt at third, Posey at first, 3 runs in, 5-0 Giants, and 2 out. First pitch to Hunter Pence, big swing and a miss. 0-1. Meanwhile, storm signals are up, and the Dodgers will send a pitcher down to the bullpen. Luis Avilan, the left-hander, will warm up in a hurry. Crawford, left-hand batter, on deck. 0-1 the count to Hunter Pence. Fastball fouled away, and that might have been out of the strike zone. Up and away. And it seems like every time Hunter Pence walks up to the plate, the scoreboard shows no balls, 2 strikes. I'm sure that's how he feels. Hunter, in his career, has been a tremendous influence and inspiration to the Giants. So 0-2 the count. Maeda at the belt. Here he comes and misses low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Brandon Belt down the line from third. Posey at first. Maeda working so hard. This will be his 30th pitch in the inning and his 50th pitch for the moment. The 1-2. Pence swings, fouls it back. Still 1-2 to Hunter. Pence backs out, now checking back in. Maeda is due to bat second when the Dodgers hit in the third inning. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fastball. It's going to be a one-hopper. Utley is on it, makes the play, and for Maeda, mercifully it's over, but not before the Giants pick up 3. And at the end of 2, Giants 5, Dodgers nothing. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Los Angeles Dodgers may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Dodgers. We go to the third inning. The Giants have piled up 5, and the Dodgers looking for their first. And for the Dodgers, it'll be Chase Utley, followed by Kenta Maeda, and then Howie Kendrick. Earlier, we were talking a little history of the Giant-Dodger rivalry. In 1951, I think most baseball fans know the famous home run by Bobby Thompson in the Polo Grounds to give the Giants the National League pennant. You may not know the odd story about Russ Hodges, a wonderful broadcaster, a good buddy, just a great guy. And Russ, of course, will never be forgotten here in San Francisco. And if you have or heard the recording, you hear Russ Hodges hollering, "The Giants win the pennant, the Giants win the pennant," over and over again. Pitch to Utley in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Well, there was a fan who actually recorded that. It was on record when the game ended, and Giant fans were almost hysterical in joy. Strike one, pitch, another strike, and the count 0-2. When Thompson spoiled the Dodger party and the fan was thinking he was going to record a Dodger victory, he didn't throw the recording away. Instead, he called and left a message for Hodges at his home. Strike 2 pitch, breaking ball in the dirt, ball 1. But he didn't give the details of the recording. Well, Hodges thought it was a recording of the Dodgers, of Red Barber, or who knows what, but Russ was that kind of a guy, and he returned the call to be polite and discovered his jubilant call had been preserved forever. The pitch to Utley is popped up, foul off third. Coming over, looking, leaning, and making a superior catch, tumbling over the railing. Connor Gillespie. Umpire says out. What a play by Connor. One thing all ball players know, especially the infielders, you don't give up on a questionable foul ball. A lot of times, as the trajectory cuts down, it drifts back. And Gillespie refused to quit. He went right to the railing, eyes riveted on the ball, knew he might be in trouble, made the catch, and when he hit the railing, head first into the photographer's well. But all's well that ends well. And Connor is back to third, having made a wonderful play. So the Giants are pumped. After all, this is a must-win game for them. For the Dodgers, it's a game getting ready for Washington, and they mustn't like what's happening. So Utley fouls out on that great play by Connor Gillespie. And here's Kenta Maeda. Maeda swings and lifts a fly ball to left center. It's the left fielder, Pagan, making the catch. So we have 2 down here in the third inning. Let's take another look at that catch. Wow. Connor Gillespie also knocked over a big zoom camera, but that's not important. His welfare was, and he's fine, I think. We wouldn't really know whether he cut himself or what, but he is hanging tough. 2 down, and the leadoff man, Howie Kendrick, who walked in the first inning. Matt Moore's fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Dodgers trying to sharpen up, but it's the Giants who are wielding the weapons as Kendrick swings and misses, and the count 0-2. Remember, the Dodgers have struggled all year. This is no surprise that they're having troubles with Matt Moore. They lead. They're last in the majors against left-hand pitching. In batting average, the Dodger team hitting .215 collectively against left-handers. They're also last in on base and slugging. The 1-2 fastball a little low. Moore staying right around 93. I think he's made a couple of 95s. So the Giants breezing for the moment, 5-0. 2 down, third inning. Moore into the windup, and the 2-2 pitch, line drive right at Brandon Crawford. Boy, that was a bullet. So Crawford stays with that stinger, and at the end of 2.5 innings, Giants 5, Dodgers nothing. Couple of changes for the Dodgers. Yasiel Puig started in right. He's moved over to left. Josh Reddick has taken over in right field. If you're keeping score, Reddick would go in Kendrick's spot. And here's Brandon Crawford, who had his hands burned on that line drive hit by Kendrick. This game is not only on television, Dodger radio, but at least this inning the Giants are allowing me a chance to get my feet wet as Crawford swings and misses. And I'm going to use the opportunity not just to do the best I can with play-by-play, but to salute the 4 Giant broadcasters. They are marvelous, and they are close pals of mine. Every time I come up here, I have to hurry to make sure I see them, and as my mother would say, chew the fat. The pitch to Crawford swung on and missed. 0-2 the count to Brandon. Yeah, there they are on radio, John Miller and Dave Fleming. And to my right, Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow. Terrific guys, but don't tell them I said so. 0-2 the count. Crawford struck out in the first inning. Maeda comes back high with a fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brandon. So the Giants in a hurry. Got 2 runs with the first 3 hitters in the first inning and came back despite a busted squeeze play to come up with 3 more and take a 5-0 lead. Maeda into the windup. The 1-2 pitch swung on and missed. Up and a little bit away. And for the second time, Crawford is not joining the party. He's 0 for 2, striking out twice. Angel Pagan coming up, grounded to short, 0 for 1. Pagan with piercing eyes. If you're ever in a ball game and you're close to the field and something happens and he's looking at wherever the play developed or questioning an umpire's call, whatever, boy, those eyes go right through the equipment. Always had that look, even when he first came with the Mets. Takes a hook, and that's low. 1 ball and no strikes. So for the Giants, they become even more dangerous today. It looks like they might very well win the wild card, and they've had 2 world championships as a wild card. The pitch Pagan in for a strike. Should the Giants, under the great leadership of Bruce Bochy, win the wild card, they will go to New York and play the Mets. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. In a crouch, it's pulled inside first, down the line. Another extra base hit for the Giants as Pagan steams into second base with 1 out. So Kenta Maeda is being racked. There's no other word for it. They're hitting him hard. They're hitting him often, and they're leading 5-0. Pagan just watched and pulled, and the ball inside first down the line. The left-hander Luis Avilan, for the second time, goes down to the pen. I haven't seen Maeda's feathers ruffled in quite a while, as they're doing to him here today. No respect for a 16-game winner. Maeda straightens up, looks back at Pagan. Panic left-hand hitter takes a changeup in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Giants will go to New York should they win, and it'll be Madison Bumgarner and Noah Syndergaard. Great opening act. Maeda back at the belt. Fastball, little fly ball to left center. Playable, says Jock Peterson, and he puts it away. So with the ball hit in the air, Pagan had to hold. And with 2 down, Connor Gillespie, who has already been a hero in this series and now has outdone himself with the glove. Connor is out of Nebraska. He was born in Omaha, and he still lives there. The catch was spectacular. Connor going off third, hits the railing, goes completely over in the photographer's well. But all is well. And Connor checks in. He's 6'1", a good 200 pounds. He's worked hard to put on some extra weight. He's one of the rare players that does not wear batting gloves. Of course, as he said, if I wore batting gloves, the guys in Nebraska would really get on my case as having turned soft. And they are going to walk him intentionally and try to use Matt Moore as an exit. 2 out, third inning, 5-0 San Francisco. Dodgers in the fourth inning will have Turner, Seager, and Puig trying to come back. I'm not sure if it's very important right now with the Giants on the crest of a big wave leading 5-0, but the Cardinals have gotten a run. They lead Pittsburgh 1-0 top of the fourth inning. Yadier Molina singled home the run in the third. So the Cardinals are winning 1-0 and the Giants are dancing 5-0. Here now is Matt Moore. Tried to squeeze in a run, bunted into a rundown, but eventually he had a chance to come home on the triple by Span. And Moore takes a strike. 0-1 the count. Well, it's a Giant day that was questionable for quite a while with all the dark clouds, but something about 5 runs for the home team, and all of a sudden we have a huge blue canopy being pulled right over the ballpark and some brilliant sunshine coming down. The Giant fans don't need sun. They're warming their hearts with a 5-run lead. The pitch now to Moore in there for a strike, and the count 0-2. 2 on, 2 out, and Moore at the plate. 0-2. Maeda, right foot on the rubber, looks in to get a sign. 5 runs, 8 hits for the Giants, a bunch of extra base hits. Strike 2 pitch is swung on, punched on the ground. Seager has to come back and get it. Has to double clutch and throws too late. Corey Seager came up with the ball, but double clutching, and Moore, a left-hand batter, takes advantage of it. And all of a sudden, the Giants, with a wealth of runs, have the bases loaded as the ball popped out of Seager's glove and hand. And now the Giants in business again with Denard Span, and that will do it. So Kenta Maeda leaving, Luis Avilan coming up, and we'll be right back. The left-hander Luis Avilan out of Caracas, Venezuela, trying to pick up the pieces left by Kenta Maeda. And Denard Span, who has singled and tripled against Maeda, will now face the left-hander Avilan. I really enjoyed the opportunity to use the radio up here in San Francisco, an opportunity to say hello to all the Giant fans and others, baseball fans as well, all over the Bay Area. I can just imagine 2 guys. One says to the other, "Well, did you hear Scully?" And the other guy says, "Yeah, big deal." But it is a big deal to me. I really do appreciate the opportunity. So here's Avilan set at the belt, checks at the runner, and here he comes to Span in at the shins. Ball 1, 1-0. So Pagan is at third. Gillespie's at second. Moore was given a base hit on that ball that went out of the glove of Corey Seager. Bases loaded, 2 out, 5-0 Giants. Avilan, 6'2", a good 200 pounds, much bigger than Maeda. Left-hander set, and his 1-0 pitch on the way is fouled off to the left out of play. Denard Span has had a brilliant year, and he should have every time he plays. He has certainly paid his dues. He spent over 6 years in the minor leagues, scratching and hustling for 572 games. And when he came up, he had a fine career with Minnesota and trying to continue it here in San Francisco. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bottom of the third, 5-0 Giants looking for more. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball pulled foul. And the count 1-2. So the Cardinals are winning 1-0, but the Giant fan attitude is who cares? We've got 5. Bruce Bochy, who has been through it all as a big catcher and then a proven successful manager. Dave Roberts played under him, coached under him. Of course, for the Dodgers, they'll be going to Washington, and Dave is very close to Dusty Baker. Reese has picked up right to left. Avilan set, and the 1-2 pitch coming up to Denard Span. Left-handed deals, and it's pulled foul, scattering a few on the railing in the Dodger dugout. Span at 32 was born in Washington, D.C. Not too many major league players born in the nation's capital, but certainly one other comes to mind, Maury Wills. And by the way, today happens to be Maury Wills' birthday. That's right. The mouse that roared back in the 60s. 84 years old today. Just a kid. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way to Span. Avilan ready. Left-handed deals. Breaking ball misses inside. 2-2. I'll say one thing for Avilan. Throwing that slow curveball, he had a great follow through. I mean, he was ready for that ball to be hit. You see so many of today's pitchers flying off the mound, but Avilan looked they were taking his picture. So Span, who had a 5 RBI game way back on opening day, has had a big day today. Deuces are more than wild because the bases are loaded. And the 2-2 pitch on the way. Swung on and missed. Tagged at the plate, and that'll be that. So the Giants are full, so they leave 3 and push the plate away, and they lead 5-0.
Broadcast 67 seasons, over 9,000 games, a baseball fan for 80 years. LA versus San Francisco, October 2nd, 2016.
How about that? Turn around so they can see you there, Willie. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You deserve that guy.
Yeah.
I think there's a game going on, and they're calling. Bless you, both of it. Thank you, Larry.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Good job.
What do you need, my wife? What do you say?
Well, we're moving on to the 4th inning. I was a little late coming back, but for a very, very good reason. Tell you why without interference. Justin Turner's at the plate. Larry Baer, the president of the Giants, has been terrific to me and my family, my wife, and a lot of our children for this weekend. And he just made a presentation which touches my heart. First of all, he gave me a presentation with my arm around Willie Mays, who is my favorite player and the best one. Chopper up the middle, but it gets under the glove of Panic and goes through into center field. So it'll be a base hit for Justin Turner. Anyway, as a kid growing up in New York, I idolized Mel Ott, Melvin Thomas Ott from Gretna, Louisiana. He would raise that right leg, and then he'd hit over 500 home runs. I tried to do it. I would raise my right leg. I was left-handed. And something happened when I swung the bat that did not do what Mel Ott did. But I idolized him. So they just presented me with a picture of Mel Ott, also the ticket stub to the game when he hit his 500th home run. They also put up a plaque on the wall saying, like Kilroy, that I've been here. But all in all, I really want to thank the Giants for what they have done for my wife and family throughout the weekend. And I can root for them now when they go to New York to play the Mets. Darn right. And do you know what? I want to show you something you won't believe. You know the Giant colors? They're black and orange. Okay, Seager is at the plate, so we'll watch him for the moment. Strike one, pitch fouled away. Okay, that's what we needed. Do you know that the Giants actually wore blue, not orange and black? And here is true positive. This was the cap worn by the Giants in the 30s and early 40s. It's perfect blue with the New York C on the. I bet you no one realizes that, but a couple of people, Mark Langell, Rob Menchel, they came up with it. So the Giants once upon a time wore blue, and that's a big, and I'm sure Larry Bird doesn't know that, so I'll show it to the president after the game. And now stop jabbering, Scully, and get back to the ball game. Where are we? Turner's at first. Nobody out. Seager at the plate. It's, well, down goes Seager. So for the Dodgers so far, it has been a dreadful day. Again, however, to them, it just means a dreadful day. For the Giants, a huge day. They'll be packing and heading for New York unless the Dodgers can get off the floor. So Seager strikes out. Turner at first base. And here's Yasiel Puig. Popped up 0 for 1. 11 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Matt Moore looks down the barrel to get a sign, comes with a fastball lifted down the right field line. Pence coming across the line on the dead run, but he can't get it. Again, it brings up the point how dangerous it is, and we understand they just don't have the land, but it is so dangerous to see any player on the dead run get into the bullpen where there is a mound and there's home plate, a pitching rubber, and you can take a serious header because of the bullpens that are tucked just outside the left field foul line and the right field foul line. Visiting bullpen down the right. All right, Puig back up. No balls and 1 strike. Turner at first. 5-0 San Francisco in the 4th inning. And it is now turning, perhaps because and for the Giants, into a lovely day. 0-1 the count. Puig swings, lifts one foul off to the right. That'll carry back out of play. Dodgers had to use Avilan to bail Maeda out. Josh Fields now gets up in the bullpen. If the Dodgers wanted a workout to prepare for Washington, they are getting a workout, which is another word for 5-0 opposition. Okay, Moore out of his stretch. Another look at first. Back to Puig, who hits it foul down the right field line. A little late on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Yasiel, I guess, testing the wood. Some of the fellas actually smell the wood. I've seen players hold it up to the ear. He's the first one I've seen might have tasted it a little. 0-2. Moore out of his stretch. Turner at first. 1 out. 5-0 Giants. Fastball, and that's low at 94. So we wondered about Matt Moore. 2 victories, 1 unearned run in 15 innings. 2 losses, 13 earned runs in 5 innings. It looks like the winning type Moore today so far. Let's face it, we're only in the 4th inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Moore set, looks over at Turner, who increases by a step. Moore to the plate, off speed, and swung on and missed by Puig. So Moore picks up back-to-back strikeouts to give him 3. Turner holding at first, and Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Yasmani Grandal hitting behind Gonzalez. Moore out of his stretch. Turner with nowhere to go, really, down 5-0. Off-speed pitch is hit into center field for a base hit. So Turner goes to second, and he'll hold there with 2 out. A little bit of a hanging curveball, and Gonzalez was all over it. First and second, 2 out in the 4th. If you joined us late, Giants scored 2 in the 1st inning on 2 singles and a double, and came back with 3 more in the second inning. They had a walk, a single, a double, and a triple. They almost hit for the cycle in the second inning. 5 runs, 9 hits for the Giants. No runs, 2 hits, kind of a murmur of protest, just about all, taking place right now here in the 4th inning. Moore ready, fastball with a good sink to the end of it, so maybe more like a slider, and the count 0-1. Grandal hitting right-handed, drew a walk in the second inning. Made a very good defensive play on the busted squeeze play in the second inning. He did it, number 1, because he did not commit a throw. He ran at the runner. He made the runner commit, and then a little quick flip, and they had him. Here's the strike 1 pitch on the way. Moore comes back, fastball, and at the knees. Hits 94 on the gun, and an 0-2 count now on Yasmani Grandal. Crowd, of course, would like to see Matt Moore strike out the side. Why not? You got Seager and Puig. Young Matt, 27 years old. And the strike 2 pitch, line drive, base hit into left field. Pagan over to cut it off, but easily scoring is Turner. Going to third and making it easily goes Gonzalez. So the Dodgers get on the board, and it is 5-1 in favor of the Giants. The Grandal hacks a line drive single to pick up Turner. Gonzalez winding up at third, going with 2 out. Pagan had to backhand that ball, otherwise it might have gone to the wall. First and third, 2 out, a run in. Jock Peterson struck out in the second inning. Peterson with Utley on deck. Out of his stretch goes Moore with the runners at the corners. It's a dancing Gonzalez down the line, and the pitch low, ball 1. Boy, that's a contradiction of term, a dancing Gonzalez. And yet he was coming way down the line, which you can do pretty well when you have a left-hand pitcher who has his back to you. We'll see if Adrian tries that again. The other reason, Gillespie's pretty far from the bag at third. And time. To end the inning, Turner singled. Seager and Puig struck out. Gonzalez singled, and Grandal singled to pick up a run. Moore ready, 1-0 pitch, swung on, foul back, good fastball, and the count 1-1. Moore's made 65 pitches. He's not out of the 4th inning. Though a little more than 16 pitches an inning. Matt waiting, looks in, reading Buster Posey. Now the left-hander ready, bluffed by Gonzalez down the line. High fly ball to deep center field, but it's playable. Span on the track at the wall, 399 feet away, and Moore really got away with something that time. Dodgers get 1, and at the end of 3.5, it's 5-1 San Francisco.
Fans, please direct your attention now to the visiting broadcast booth, where Giants president and CEO Larry Baer and Hall of Famer Willie Mays are joining legendary broadcaster Vin Scully. As you all know, today marks Vin's final broadcast after an illustrious 67-year career. And it is only fitting that his final broadcast would be a Giants-Dodgers game, since he has followed this storied rivalry for 80 years, from the time he fell in love with the game as a 9-year-old boy in New York. The Giants are proud to forever commemorate Vin Scully's final broadcast and remarkable career by dedicating a plaque in the visiting booth in honor of this historic occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, please hold up your cheer cards, and let's give Vin another round of giant applause.
What I had to do, saw it without exemption. I
sitting in the booth talking to Willie. Who would have ever think that little red-headed kid with a tear in his pants, shirt tail hanging out, playing stickball in the streets of New York with a tennis ball and a broom handle, would wind up sitting here 67 years of broadcasting and with my arm around one of the greatest players I ever saw, the great Willie Mays. There are miracles, aren't they? Right. Let's go back to this one. I've had enough spotlight for 10 years, 10 lives. And the folks have placards that say, thank you, Vin. And the Giants have just been unbelievable. And the fans have been great. Not just or only the Dodger fans. They handed out pictures and all that stuff. I mean, in a sense, they've devoted the game to me. And knowing my background of Giant Dodger games, wow. Wow. Enough of me. There sure has been a lot of it. Here's the bottom of the fourth inning. Belt, Posey, and Pence in that order. Avilan waiting at the plate is Belt, and the first pitch is banged into right field. Base hit. So here come the Giants again. So Belt, who had that remarkable game, the first game, that's when he had the walk, the single, the double. He was hit by a pitch and homered. So today he has a walk, a double, and a single, and we're only in the fourth inning. Well, that'll do it for Avilan. Josh Fields has been down in the bullpen. We'll be right back. This day in Dodger history presented by Spectrum. On this date in 2004, 39-year-old center fielder Steve Finley belted a walk-off grand slam against the Giants to clinch the Dodgers' first division title in 9 years. Well, here at AT&T Park, Josh Fields with a record of 1-0 in his 37th game, pretty high ERA. But in the 21 games with the Dodgers, he's brought it down considerably, less than 3. So the right-hander facing Posey and Pence with Belt at first base. Giants 5 runs, 10 hits. Dodgers 1 run, 3 hits. Fields first pitch in for a strike and the count 0-1. Posey singled to right and drove in 2 in the first inning. Singled again in the second inning to pick up an RBI. Belt at first. Remember, we mentioned earlier, no stolen bases despite 8 triples. Posey fouls it back. Josh David Fields by name. He was born in Athens, Georgia. He makes his home in Hull, Georgia. Fields an even 6, 185. 31 years old. Posey, meanwhile, waiting at the plate. It's been Maeda for 2 2/3 innings to give up 5 runs and 9 hits. Avilan a base hit, and now Fields. Posey bangs one down the right field line, slicing in the corner, foul. 0-2 the count to Buster, and back to first goes Belt. Josh Fields, the third Dodger pitcher, was a first-round pick by the Mariners out of the University of Georgia back in 2008. He accepted a baseball scholarship to Georgia when he was in high school, but he didn't sign with the Braves. They chose him in the second round. He went back to school, stayed there until the Mariners got him. But the Mariners were even turned away. So Fields has turned away the Braves, the Mariners, and eventually came back with the Mariners. He's in the dirt, and the count 1-2. Meant a lot of money for Josh Fields. I mean, it's one thing to be drafted. That's a big thrill. But he said no to the Braves. Then he said no to Seattle. Seattle came back again, and he signed a contract, $1.75 million. So he didn't go to the University of Georgia to study bulldogs. And a bright young man now trying to get some outs. Posey waiting, 1-2 the count. And the next pitch, little ground ball, a grass cutter. They get a force. They throw to first, is not in time. That ball didn't bounce. It really just rolled through the grass, and that's the reason why the Dodgers could not turn the double play. Seager got it to Utley, but it took too long. So here comes Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence has struck out, grounded out, 0-for-2. By this time, he's got to be a very, very hungry hitter. Batting .288, 13 home runs, 56 runs batted in. And when the Giants score, he's usually in the middle of things. So the right-hand hitter waits, rocks in place, big swing and a miss. He's had as many or more swings and misses in a 3-game series as all the time I've watched him play. 0-1. Hunter, as always, Mr. Motion, fidgety, waiting. Strike one pitch, swung on and missed. 0-2. We mentioned it the other night, and it's no joke. Hunter Pence lives in a 55-story building here in San Francisco that is not only sinking, it is also tilting. That's true. There's nothing funny about it at all. I think Joe Montana might live in that same building. Strike two pitch, fastball foul back at 96. So Fields, not really a big man at 6 feet 180, but he can sure hurry that ball up to the plate. His fastball has been clocked at 97. He's got a good curveball. Got rid of his slider, which was below average, and he has a decent changeup. A lot of people think he reminds them of Roy Oswalt. Here's the strike two pitch. Pence takes in the dirt, blocked nicely by Grandal. Posey holding. Fourth inning. The Giants trying to pack their bags and go to New York today. Fields taking plenty of time. Dodgers are going to go home and work out until going Wednesday to Washington. Pence, a bad ball, and he swings at that. I don't know what's going on with him in this series. I mean, anything in the neighborhood except a strike. That thing is up and away. Funny how ball players will get into that rut. I mean, they're great hitters, and he has had some terrible hacks. Okay, Pence strikes out a second time, and the batter is the left-hand hitting Brandon Crawford, who struck out twice, hitting .274, and a bewildered Pence goes back into the shadows of the dugout. Fields ready. Here he comes. Good fastball at 95. Crawford, a pretty good swing, came up empty. 5-1 favor of San Francisco. They did it early. 2 in the first, 3 in the second. However, they did leave the bases loaded in the third. So the Dodgers got one back in the fourth, and certainly still in the game. Strike one pitch on the way. A changeup very high, way out of the strike zone. 1-1 the count. What a totally different day. All morning gloomy, a threat of rain, dark, gray clouds. Once the Giants had 5 in the bank, the whole sky opened up. It is a gorgeous day now. 1 ball and 1 strike. We're in the fourth. 5-1 San Francisco. 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on, fouled off to the left into the sellout crowd. 1-2 the count. So Matt Moore still doing a job through 4 innings. However, the Dodgers feel a little encouraged. They had 3 base hits in the 4th inning to try and get back. Clouds and blue sky, sailboats and water. What a picture. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Fields ready. Here he comes. Swung on and missed. How about that? Brandon Crawford strikes out 3 times. Pence have struck out twice, but it's 5-1 San Francisco. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Southern California Toyota dealers. Toyota's clearance countdown is on. Get the biggest savings of the year on the 2016 Prius family. And by Inferno in theaters October 28th. I hate to intrude on the ball game, but there's the man that I idolized as a kid, Melvin Thomas Ott from Gretna, Louisiana. Raised that right leg, wore number 4. Interesting, actually was up on above the knob, not like the modern home run hitters who are right at the very end of the bat. Okay, enough of me. We'll get back now to Chase Utley with Kike Hernandez on deck. Utley fouled out. That was that spectacular catch made by Connor Gillespie. That was back in the 3rd inning. Comes up empty on net and in a hole 0-2. Moore has not been striking out a lot of people. It's not like he's dominating. He has struck out 3, allowed 1 run, 3 hits. Matt slightly closed while he stands on the rubber. Now here he comes and works a fastball low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Kike Hernandez is on deck. He would bat for Josh Fields. And I would say, and I have nothing to do with it except looking there, strike 3 called Utley. So down he goes. 4 strikeouts for Matt Moore. And here comes Kike, who might very well be on the bubble as far as making the roster for the series with Washington. Alex Wood, the left-hander, is up in the bullpen. Here's Kike. A lovely note, and we'll have a chance to show him, I think. The Dodger bat boy today is Jock Peterson's older brother, who is celebrating his 29th birthday today. There he is. We'll show more of him. Little roller wide of third, gobbled up by Gillespie, who gets it over to first, and down goes Kike. The thing about Champ, and there he is, and he says it, he's outspoken about it. He says, yes, I have Down syndrome, but I'm okay. And he is a terrific young man. And Jock, of course, rooms with him. It's just a marvelous, marvelous, wonderful note. 29 years young. Champ Peterson, and he is a champ. Ground ball to short. At the other end of it, Brandon Crawford. Bing, bang, boom. That's the 5th inning in a hurry. And at the end of 4.5 innings, Giants 5, Dodgers 1. A big crowd in the visiting broadcasting booth, and they all belong to me. We're so fortunate. We have 16 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren. My wife Sandy at the other end of the booth. It is a tremendous collection, and boy, are we lucky. What a way to celebrate your last game, having a family here with you. And meanwhile, family, it's time for me to go back to work. So I love you. See you later. The Giants will have Angel Pagan leading off. Pagan, the switch hitter, will bat right-handed. He had grounded out and doubled left-handed. Alex Wood's first pitch in for a strike, and we're underway. For Wood, he is the 4th pitcher. Dodgers started with Maeda, and the Giants were very rude to him. 5 runs and 9 hits. Then Avilan, then Fields, and now Wood. 5-1 San Francisco, and Pagan swings and comes up empty. We can also duck in a score. Pittsburgh 2, Cardinals 1, bottom of the 5th inning. Of course, it doesn't really make any difference if the Giants hold on to this 5-1 lead. Andrew McCutchen singled home 2 Pirate runs in the 5th inning. And the Bucks with Ryan Vogelsong, the former Giant pitcher, leading 2-1 over St. Louis. And that's strike 3 call. So down goes Pagan. The last 3 Giant hitters have all struck out, and the batter will be Joe Panik. So Wood picks up a K. By the way, Kike, who batted for Fields, is staying in the game at second base. So that gives Utley a chance to relax. Wood's first pitch off the plate. Panik singled and flied to center. He's 1 for 2. 5-1 Giants, bottom of the 5th inning. Every now and then we would sprinkle the game with a little history. Pitch in the dirt. Talking about the Giant-Dodger rivalry. And of course, 1962 appeared to be a great year for the Dodgers. After all, they had opened up a brand new Dodger Stadium. And they had a great time until they got round down to push against shove with the Giants. The pitch low, 2-0. The Dodgers carried a 2-run lead into the 9th inning of the 3rd and deciding playoff game with the Giants. And wouldn't you know, the Giants rallied for 4 and stole the pennant with a 6-4 win. Next pitch in for a strike. The winning pitcher, by the way, was a journeyman pitcher, a familiar name to Dodger fans and historians. The right-hander named Don Larson. Fastball away. Panik draws a walk. And the batter will be Connor Gillespie. Yep. Don Larson, who was with the Yankees back in 1956 and pitched the only perfect game in World Series history. And he surfaces with the Giants and beats the Dodgers in '62. That really sounds like something that was made up, but it's true. All right, Alex Wood with a whisper or two from Adrian Gonzalez about going over to first base. Panik has now been on base twice with a single and a walk. And Connor Gillespie, who not only doubled to drive in a bunch the other night, doubled today, and then made that spectacular catch. Wood's big breaking ball way outside, ball 1, 1-0. Panik over at first base is 5 for 5 in stolen bases, and no doubt Adrian came to the mound to say, hey, look over here, this guy steals. 1 ball and no strikes. Fastball fouled away. So Gillespie with a double. Last time up they walked him intentionally. And then you have Matt Moore on deck, who has an infield single. Hard to believe in looking at the box score. Pence and Crawford together have struck out 5 times. Throw to first. The only time either of them hit the ball, Pence grounded out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Crawford sitting back in the dugout, meaning so much to the ball club. Remember when he dislocated a little finger going head first into third base at Dodger Stadium? Giants lost him for a couple of days, but he's well, playing very well. But it's very rare indeed to see Brandon Crawford strike out 3 times. 0 for 3. 1-2 the count to Connor Gillespie. Doubled, intentional walk, playing third base over Gordon Beckham. 1-2 pitch on the way. Alex Wood deals. Breaking ball hit off the end of the bat, foul. Still 1-2. So it's been Maeda, then Avilan, then Fields, and now Wood. All the while Matt Moore has gone through the Dodgers through 5 innings. One ball and 2 strikes. Connor Gillespie, the pride of Omaha, Nebraska, who does not wear batting gloves. Next pitch whacked into the air into right center. Peterson incoming. Here comes the right fielder Reddick to make a fine catch. Yasiel Puig is applauding over in left field, letting Reddick know he appreciated that. Say a reminder, join the 2017 Dodger family. Sign up now for the season seat or mini plan wait list. Registered fans will be contacted by a Dodger season ticket rep on a first-come, first-served basis. So visit Dodgers.com/season tickets or call 866-DODGERS today. So here's Matt Moore. 2 down, panic at first. 5-1 Giants. Wood deals a strike offside of the plate. 0-1 the count. The leadoff man, Denard Span, out on deck. He has a single and a triple today. Scored one. In fact, he scored twice and knocked into little nubber foul. 0-2 the count. Another sellout crowd here at AT&T Park. They're sitting back, kind of recharging, but they'll be making a lot of noise again. 0-2. Wood set at the belt. Left-handed comes back. Breaking ball down and away. Moore swinging like a pitcher that time and strikes out. So we have 5 innings in the books. So far, all San Francisco, 5-1. On this day, October the 2nd, 1936, a little red-headed kid was walking home from school, went by a Chinese laundry, and I'll tell you the rest of the story, but let's get back to the game. Well, we'll talk about the red-headed kid in a minute, but right now, another red-headed kid is getting into the box. Justin Turner, followed by Seager and Puig. So you can see how the game is so constructed for you. I'm telling about a little redhead, and here's Turner. Remarkable production. And the first pitch to Justin way inside, ball 1. Yeah, the little kid, not quite 9, 8 3/4, leaving grammar school on his way home. And I went by a Chinese laundry. That's way outside. 2 balls and no strikes. And the line score of a baseball game was pasted on the window. And it showed game 2 of the World Series with the Yankees beating the Giants 18-4 as Turner fouls the ball back. There it was, game 2. Imagine a reserve seat cost $5. Well, anyway, as that little red-headed kid looked and saw, oh wow, the poor Giants, that was my reaction. And so I became not only a Giants fan, but a big fan of baseball. And I was able to exercise my instinct. The pitch to Turner is away, 2-1, because my school was less than 20 blocks to the old Polo Grounds where the New York Giants played. And because I was a member of the Police Athletic League Catholic Youth Organization, I could game free from Monday to Friday. We got out of school at 2:30. The Giant games were 3:15. And so I could go to the ball game. And so I just fell in love with baseball. Most of the time I was in center field. Now, center field in the Polo Grounds was 483 feet away as Turner strikes out, 1 down. So I would sit in the bleachers and I would cheer and I would watch, and I just loved the Giants. Well, the point of the whole story is this. My first love was October the 2nd, 1936. Second game of the World Series. Today is October the 2nd, 2016. A lot of time has gone by. Exactly 80 years to the minute from that day that I looked at the line score of the World Series. So when I looked at the schedule and I knew I was going to retire, I thought, I have to do that game. It was as if it was ordained that I would do this game. And so here we are. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope I'm not interrupting you too much. Giants lead 5-1, 1 out, 6th inning. Great rivalry indeed. Strike 2 pitch, poke foul off to the left. And from the looks of things, both teams will continue to play. The Giants will be heading to New York to face the Mets. The Dodgers will be facing the Washington Nationals in the nation's capital. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Fastball just off the plate. Boy, that was close. Seager able to lay off it just off the edge. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Corey Seager. Grant Dayton, the left-hander, gets up now in the Dodger bullpen. And the next pitch is close but no cigar. 2-2 the count. There's Grant Dayton. Meanwhile, Moore has made 84 pitches. 11 so far in this inning. Ground ball to the right side. Panic is on it. Throws him out. So Seager goes 0 for 3. And we have 2 down, 6th inning. There's the Polo Grounds. Now just look. That's the clubhouse right in the middle where it has Giants. On either side of the clubhouse, if you were a Giant fan, you were on the left side because you look into the windows for the Giants. If you were a visiting fan, you were on the right side. And how I loved looking in and hollering at the players. Puig fouls it away. One of the things I remember, I was looking into the window of the Giant clubhouse. They had a big beefy pitcher named Walter Jumbo Brown. He was at least 250. And I could see an old kitchen chair where if you sat in the chair you could look out at the field. Strike 1 pitch. Puig fouls it away. And someone had put a cigarette down on the chair and went somewhere to get a paper or whatever. And big Jumbo Brown walked over and I was hollering from the, "Don't sit down, Jumbo." He sat down. Wow. Wow. So anyway, 0-2 the count to Yasiel Puig. Matt Moore is ready, leading 5-1. Fastball pulled on the ground hard, backhanded by Connor Gillespie to throw him out. Wow. So all of a sudden, after Beckham was playing and Nunez was playing, they've discovered Connor Gillespie. 21. Now he's able to drive. And at the end of 5.5 innings, it is 5-1 San Francisco. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com. And by Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We treat kids better. It was way back in 1993 I was doing golf, and look at that picture. You remember Payne Stewart? The tragic death in that runaway jet airport plane. And of course on my right, picture left, the one and only Arnold Palmer back in '93. Who ever thought that same skinny red-headed kid would be two with great golfing stars as well as Willie Mays. Meanwhile, Denard Span single, triple, struck out. Bob Seguin. Rob is now at first base, and Grant Dayton is the new pitcher. (5-1) San Francisco. Span holds up, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. So Utley, Gonzalez, Kendrick have come out of the game. Next time they're in a ball game, it will be against Washington. 1 ball and 1 strike. Big swing and a miss. 1-2. I realize too, you know, I'm jabbering away so much with all the stuff that's been going on, and I'm thinking, well, you can look at it on television, but I forgot really that I'm supposedly doing play-by-play for the entire game on radio. My apologies for those of you who are wondering what's going on here. It has been a party, a retirement party, and it has been marvelous. 1-2 the count. Next pitch waved at and missed, looked like a slider down and away, and that takes care of Denard Span, and we have 1 out in the 6th inning. Brandon Belt will be coming up. Brandon Belt, left-hand batter, double, walk, single. Working on a perfect day. 17 home runs, 82 runs batted in. Grant Dayton ready, fastball high. 1 ball and no strikes. Bottom of the 6th inning, 1 out. 3 of the last 5 have struck out for San Francisco. Waiting on deck, Buster Posey. The 1-0 pitch in at the knuckles to Belt. And a 2-ball, no strike count. Posey has 3 RBIs today. Span had 2. Though the Giant lineup is top heavy with production. 2-0 pitch on the way. Dayton ready, delivers, high fastball, swung on and missed, and the count 2-1. So Grant Dayton coming in. He has been a good warrior for the Dodgers. Has not been with the ball club that long, but he's produced. His 2-1 pitch coming up. Belt waiting at the plate. And the pitch is swung on a high fly ball. I mean, a monstrous fly ball. And going to the wall is Peterson to make the catch. There's a breeze up there, and I think that might have cut that down just a little. Peterson, to his credit, did not quit because that ball looked like it was going to go out. It's 399 to dead center. And Belt got all of it. I think Dayton thought it was a home run, but it was not. So a long fly ball. Great job by Peterson to read it with that wind dancing the ball. So Dayton knows he got away with one, and we have 2 down in the 6th inning. And the batter is Buster Posey, who promptly bangs one into center for a base hit. So Posey comes up with his 3rd hit, a line drive single. So Dayton got away with a home run, but did not give up for a line drive single. And now here is Hunter Pence. We've been talking, and I think I might have mentioned earlier, he's one of my favorite players because he tries so hard, but he's been trying way too hard. He has had 12 swings and misses in the 3-game series. 12. See what he does now. Big hack, and he fouls it away. 0-1. Pence struck out twice, grounded out. It looks like the way he's swinging, he only wants to hit a bad ball, which is a sure sign he's just anxious and eager to produce. He looks at a lot of strikes. 0-1 to Hunter. Dayton out of his stretch, looks over at first, back he comes, fastball, line foul. He had to line that foul. It was outside of the strike zone. 0-2 the count. So Pence at least has taken 2 swings and hit the ball each time. 0-2. 5 runs, 11 hits for the Giants. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. 2 out, Posey at first. And the pitch 0-2 to Hunter Pence. Dayton deals way high and outside. Ball 1. How high and how outside was it? Pence didn't swing at it. It's been that kind of a series. So Hunter back up. 1-2. 2 down. Breeze blowing out to right. Blue sky canopy overhead now. The 1-2 pitch to Hunter. He takes just off the plate. Change with a little bend to it. 2-2. Waiting on deck, another hungry hitter, Brandon Crawford, who has struck out all 3 times today. Dayton hands it his sides. Pence open stands, constantly working that wood back and forth. And the 2-2 pitch coming up. Dayton deals inside to drive Pence off the plate, and they go 3-2. So with a full count and 2 down, Posey will be going from first. Bill Hayes over to say something to him. 3-2. 2 down. Pence waiting, moving his hands. Runner goes, and the ball is popped up into the breeze. It's the first baseman Seguin in fair ground making the catch, and that's the inning. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 6, 5-1 Giants. The Dodger calendar becomes very interesting now. The ball club will fly Wednesday. They'll be able to work out Wednesday. I'm not quite sure about Thursday, but then they will be in the mid series starting Friday, game 1, as the Dodgers and the Nationals go head to head. The Dodgers had their way with the Nationals during the regular season. They won 5 out of 6. So Rob Seguin will start it off. And Matt Moore deals, drops it in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Seguin, then Grandal and Peterson. Matt Moore trying for his 6th win. He's also trying to beat the Dodgers for the 3rd time. He was 2-2 so far this year. 0-2 the count to Rob Seguin. Fastball away. 1-2 the count. Gonzalez, while he was in there, flied to left, single to center. And the next one missing, so that fattens up the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Meanwhile, Jock Peterson and his brother Champ directly behind him in the dugout. High fly ball to right. Pence, however, has that on his screen and makes the catch. So Seguin goes to right. 1 down, 7th inning. How did they fare? Well, we told you that the Dodgers won 5 out of 6. You look at the batting averages. Washington led a little. ERA was certainly in the Dodgers' favor. Dodgers scored some more runs. Dodgers really hit well with runners in scoring position, and Washington left more men on base. Washington actually should go into that series as an underdog, which might put a smile on Dave Roberts' face. Long fly ball to center, span to the track, and makes the catch. Another nice play out there to join the one by Peterson. 2 out, 7th inning, and Jock Peterson will be coming up. So far, the reports we hear, Steven Strasburg is hurting. Bryce Harper has a bad thumb along with a bad neck. There are a couple of others. Jason Worth is not 100%. So Washington will go into that series not exactly 100%. But the Dodgers, all they have to do is check the history books. Remember that wonderful year in '88 when the Mets won almost every game but one during the regular season against the Dodgers? And yet the Dodgers went on to beat them, went on to eventually win the World Series. So what it was during the season is exactly that. It was during the season. But the pressures of postseason play, totally different. Peterson has struck out, fly deep to center, takes a strike, and it's 1-2. 7th inning, Dodgers running out of innings, and they're down 5-1. Have only 3 hits. Dodgers had 3 hits, all in the 4th inning to get their run. Moore ready, and his 1-2 pitch to Jock, swung on and missed, and down he goes. Down go the Dodgers in the 7th, and they're going to the bottom of the 7th. It is 5-1 San Francisco.
Stretch brought to you by Dignity Health. Let's welcome our friends from the Giants broadcast booth. Fellas?
All right, everybody. Vin, we have a couple of thank yous for you. First, thank you for 67 incredible years that you've given baseball.
Yep.
And thank you for ending your career here in San Francisco, that we can tell you thank you and that we can tell you we love you. So how about it, everybody? Let's salute Vin. Stand up and hold your cheer cards and sing your hearts out.
They're going to hold up those banners.
We're going to sing his favorite song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Here we go. A 1, a 2. Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some
peanuts and Cracker
Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Root for the... They don't make a shame. Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Thank you, Vin.
It's it'll be hot when you're ready.
You're the best. The best.
Boy, I've been to a lot of take me out to the ball games. Bottom of the 7th inning. That's about the best thing I can say right now. Brandon Crawford, followed by Angel Pagan and Joe Panic. Pedro Baez now takes over. So it's been Maeda, Avilan, Fields, Wood, Dayton, and Maeda. Crawford struck out in the 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Rather remarkable day for him. And he takes low and away, ball 1. 1-0 the count. So the Giants got 2 in the 1st, 3 in the 2nd. Neither team scored until the Dodgers picked up their only run in the 4th. And it's been zeros on the scoreboard ever since. 1 ball and no strikes. Baez ready. Here he comes, and he misses away. And the count 2 balls and no strikes. So the Giants got the job done early. 3 base hits in the 1st inning for 2 runs, 4 hits in the 2nd inning for 3. And then the offense pretty well went back to sleep. Although in the 3rd inning, they left the bases loaded when Span struck out. 2-0 pitch. That's low. So Crawford up there hasn't hit the ball yet today. 3 strikeouts, and he has the count his way, 3-0. There's a chant way off in the distance, "Let's go Dodgers." So there are some blue fans up here. Here's the 3-0 pitch coming up to Brandon Crawford. Very high, ball 4. So 3 strikeouts and a walk. And the leadoff man aboard for Pagan. By the way, the Cardinals have gone ahead in St. Louis. They're leading in the 7th inning, 4-2 over Pittsburgh. But again, that won't help them if Bruce Bochy hangs on to win this one. The best the Cardinals can do is win their 86th. The Giants could win their 87th, and they would head for New York. Pagan grounded to short, doubled to right, and struck out. Back to hitting left-handed again. Baez set at the belt, looks over at first, comes to his hitter, gets a strike, and the count 0-1. Pagan followed by Panic and then Gillespie. Giants have piled up the hits, 5 runs, 11 hits. Dodgers kind of a murmur of protest, 1 run, 3 hits. Baez ready, another look over at first at Crawford. Pedro deals, fastball away. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Baez, a workhorse for the Dodgers. He's been in 73 games. 3-2, ERA of 3, so he's done well. Pedro checking, Pagan, tired of waiting, backs out. Giants getting ready to go to New York unless the Dodgers can knock them off the track, and the Dodgers running out of time. Only 2 innings left for them. The 1-1 pitch coming up. Pagan waits. Baez delivers. Line drive down the left field line. Foul ball. Puig over to pick it up. So Angel Pagan, who doubled to right field back in the 3rd inning, also grounded to short. Puig flips the ball back in the stands, and now they have to wait for him to get back into position. The Dodgers right now have Seguin and Kike Hernandez, Seager and Turner on the infield, Grandal behind the plate, Puig, Peterson, and Reddick in the outfield. Roberts doing a lot of thinking right now about paring down the roster to 25. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Pedro set, a bluff at first, little ground ball to second. Charging is Kike, throws in time to get him. Pagan is standing at first base. The first base umpire, Cowboy Joe West. Kike a little slow in getting the ball to first. Very close. And they're going to protest and ask for a review. Well, we were talking earlier, this isn't a bad idea. We were talking about the Giant-Dodger rivalry, and we talked about Dodger Stadium opening up and the Giants spoiling the year. You remember 1966? That was the 50th anniversary of Sandy's final career win. He had beaten the Phillies in 1966 in the 2nd game of a doubleheader. Well, the Giants won 6 consecutive road victories against Atlanta and Pittsburgh, but they didn't know their season was over. Giants had to be stationed at the Pittsburgh airport awaiting word on the Dodgers and Phillies. The roar means the runner is safe. Had the Dodgers lost the 2nd game of that doubleheader, the Giants would have flown to Cincinnati to make up a rainout, and if they won that game, they would have faced the Dodgers in a playoff. And then, of course, up here, 1982, Joe Morgan hitting a home run off Terry Forster on the final day of the regular season at Candlestick Park. That eliminated the Dodgers from a possible 1-game playoff with the Atlanta Braves. Morgan hit a 3-run home run in the 7th. It was also Joe's final at-bat in a Giants uniform. Okay, we have runners at first and second. Joe Panik at the plate. Baez in a little trouble trying not to give up another run. Giants lead 5-1, and the pitch a little low and away, ball 1. Giants 5 runs, 12 hits. Pagan picked up his 2nd hit on that slow roller to Kike at second. There's the 1-0 pitch on the way to Joe Panik. Pedro ready, fastball, but he's low with it. Kind of looked like he actually aimed, at least sitting up here. You don't want to aim that ball unless you're trying to throw the ball to first. 2-0 the count to Joe Panik. Connor Gillespie on deck, and the Giants trying to seize the moment and get a couple more runs. Crawford at second, Pagan at first, nobody out. Pedro out of his set. Right-hander ready. Now he comes to the plate. Swung on, lifted, back a short, shallow left. Puig coming in and over and makes the catch, whirls, and immediately throws the ball to third base. So Panik a fly ball, 1 out. Gillespie coming up. Certainly the defensive play of the game. It took your breath away if you weren't there to see it. 3rd inning, Utley's foul ball. Gillespie caught it, tumbled right into the cameras and the cameramen. Happily and luckily, he not only held the ball, but more importantly, he got out of there feeling well. Incredible play. Connor Gillespie. Well, Connor, thank goodness, is coming up. He's doubled, walked intentionally, flied to center. Up there now with 2 on and 1 out. Gillespie, left-hand batter. On deck would be the pitcher, Matt Moore. Pedro Baez, kind of slow motion, very set. Here he comes. Fastball away at 96. 1 ball and no strikes. If you just looked at the Giants and the Dodgers in the Western Division, the better team would be the Giants. That's because of that tremendous first half. It looked like they were going to run away. How a team that played that well turned around, soured to become the worst team. That's the biggest shock of the year. But now they're trying to battle back. 1 ball and no strikes. 2 on, 1 out, and the pitch in the dirt. New ball put in play. 2-0 the count, and Grandal now wants to talk to Baez. Pedro from the Dominican Republic, from Bonnie. 6'2", a good 230 pounds, throws very hard. 28 years old. I guess if you were in the front office, you might say, well, if Kenley Jansen moves on, maybe with the velocity that Baez, he might be a closer, but he has to be a little stronger. A little more consistent. All right, the 2-0 pitch to Gillespie. Pedro, a high set. Fastball fouled away. Got that up to 96. 2-1 the count. I remember years and years ago, long before they had the speed gun, they'd have an exhibition sometimes. They'd have a little box on either side of home plate, some kind of a radio signal between, and a pitcher would throw through that, and they would say how, and everybody said, wow, they're 92. Well, today it's common. They just put it up there after every pitch. It used to be a special effect. The 2-1 pitch to Connor Gillespie, and here comes Baez. Fastball swung on and missed. Another 96. They register 97 on the board. One way or another, I know Tony always thought that the speed gun numbers that they put up in the ballpark was incorrect. He just thought it was great theater for the fans. 2-2 the count. 1 out. Runners at first and second, Crawford and Pagan. And the 2-2 pitch to Connor Gillespie. Baez ready. There goes Crawford. It's a double steal. It's missed at the plate, but the Giants get away with it anyway. Randolph's throw to third, not in time. So Pedro Baez took a little longer to get that ball to the plate, and the Giants pull off a double steal, led by Crawford, the trailer Pagan. The throw, he had such a good jump, did Pagan, and Crawford. There was no chance, especially Crawford. So a double steal as Gillespie strikes out. So here's Matt Moore. That's a big gamble, isn't it, with a pitcher coming up. And ball 1. Moore tried to squeeze in a run. He couldn't do it, but he stayed on board and eventually scored a run. Then he got a base hit in the 3rd inning. Slow roller. Seager backhanded, tried to throw. The ball popped out of the glove, then popped out of his hand. And then last time up, Moore struck out. So 1 ball and no strikes. Moore waiting, 7th inning, 5-1 Giants. Baez again ready, trying to get out of a jam. Pitch inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Why the double steal with the pitcher coming up? Well, among other things, if you get away with it and you're leading by 4, you take a force play away from the infield. Baez now with first base open has fallen behind. 2 balls and no strikes. The pitch is in for a strike. 2-1. 5 runs, 12 hits for the Giants. 1 run, 3 hits for the Dodgers. And the 2-1 pitch to Matt Moore swung on and missed. And the count 2-2. So Baez trying to get an out. Deuces wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on at second and third. Baez ready. Young right-hander ready. Here he comes, and it's popped in the air back of third, up in the wind. A trio of Dodgers. The middleman is Seager, who makes the catch and then sits down. That was a little close for comfort for Corey, but he caught it. So the Giants leave runners at second and third, and at the end of 7, 5-1 San Francisco. Friends, the most popular way to follow the postseason is with MLB.com at Bat. That's the #1 app for live baseball. You'll enjoy game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and so much more. So you'll get MLB.com at Bat on your favorite device. You can do it right now. The paid attendance, 41,445. The 489th consecutive sellout. 489. Meanwhile, they're here to see the Giants win, and they're winning 5-1. Charlie Culberson will start it off. Then Kike Hernandez and Josh Reddick against the left-hander Matt Moore. First pitch swung on and missed by Charlie, and the count 0-1. Well, we're talking about big names in Giant-Dodger rivalry, but doesn't make any difference what team the Dodgers were playing. The home run hit by Charlie Culberson, clinching last Sunday, remarkable. He takes in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kike Hernandez on deck. Javi Lopez, the left-hander, gets up in the Giant bullpen. 1-1 pitch, fastball, swung on hard but missed. 1-2 to Charlie. Charlie hitting that huge home run. It was his first home run in 2 years. Hunter Strickland, the hard-throwing right-hander, has joined Javier Lopez. Ball got loose from the bullpen. Timeout for the moment. Okay, they hook back up again. Moore ready to work. Matt has struck out a half a dozen, and the left-hander taking a little time. So Charlie Culberson backs out. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Now they're ready. Slow curveball lifted into shallow back of short. Backing out is Crawford to make the catch. He was flanked by Pagan and Span. So Culberson pops it up. 1 away in the 8th inning. Kike Hernandez, who came in as a pinch hitter and stayed in the game playing second base. Kike grounded out as the pinch hitter, so he's 0 for 1. It was Kenta Maeda. The sky just fell down on top of him. Giants roughed him for 2 in the first, 3 in the second. And the pitch is in for a strike to Kike Hernandez. So it looks like the Giants will wind up 87 wins and the Dodgers 91. And that one to Kike is popped up. Belt going out. Behind him is Panic, and makes that catch with Pence behind Panic. So 2 out in the 8th inning. The Dodgers have 3 hits. All 3 hits happened way back in the 4th inning. So here is Josh Reddick. Howie Kendrick started the game, walked, lined out, and then he came out and Reddick took over. Josh grounded out. He's 0 for 1. Takes ball 1. 41,445. They are ready to bust loose after a couple more outs. Line drive foul in amongst the customers. Instead of orange and black, there'd be black and blue down there. That ball was hit hard. 5 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 3 hits, all in the 4th inning. Nothing else for the Dodgers today. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Reddick, a chopper back at first. Backhanded by Belt, feeding his man coming over. And that'll do it for the Dodgers. A 3-1 play. And we'll add up the outs, as painful as it might be for the Dodgers, as we head to the bottom of the 8th. 5-1 San Francisco. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers, or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Inferno in theaters October 28th. What an opportunity, what a gift, what an honor to have your picture taken with the great Henry Aaron. And what a thrill it was to describe that big home run. Meanwhile, Joe Blanton and a foul ball at the bat of Denard Span. Dodgers make a lot of changes. Chris Taylor at third. Our man Charlie Culberson at short. Austin Barnes behind the plate. And Joe Blanton becoming the 7th Dodger pitcher. It's been Maeda, Avilan, Fields, Wood, Dayton, Baez, and now Blanton. Big Joe, 6'3", 235. Fastball slapped the other way into left field for a base hit. Puig trying to catch it, and instead the ball gets away from him, and Span is into second base, and the fans will eat him alive. Yasiel gambled. It didn't look, at least from up here, that he had a play. It certainly, in Yasiel's mind, he was going to make a catch. Then it bounced and got away. So it'll be 1-1. A base hit to left. There'll be an error charge to Puig. And the batter will be Brandon Belt. Dodgers have not done any hitting at all. 13 in a row retired since the 4th inning, the only inning where they had their hits. Belt takes a strike. So because of that, the Dodgers have only left 3. The Giants so far have left 10. 0-1 the count to Brandon Belt. Belt's had a big day. Single, double, walk, fly deep to center, big swing and a miss, and the count 0-2. When the Dodgers come up, their final shot in the 9th, and we're not sure how Taylor and Culberson, well, Culberson stayed in the game, batting 8th. So for Dave Roberts, just an extra chance at looking at some more players. 0-2 the count. Wind blowing from left, actually from back of the right field foul pole out towards left. Strike 2 pitch. Belt swings, hits it up in the air off third base down the line. Taylor coming over, backtracking, and makes the catch in foul ground. Any ball hit up in the air brings back the memories of Candlestick Park. It's a threat, it's a challenge, and the big leaguers are up to it. Well, here's Buster Posey. In the 1st inning, Posey singled down the right field line to drive in 2. And for good measure, he had a base hit in the 2nd inning. Buster checking in. Blanton out of his stretch. And the pitch to Buster in for a strike. So the Giants have 5. Posey has knocked in 3 of the 5. Span had the other 2. Five to 1 favor of the Giants. Bottom of the 8th inning. Joe Blanton out of his stretch, ready and deals. Fastball fouled away. 0-2. Well, you would never think it's the same day, or you would think you moved to another city. It was so dark, so gloomy, so gray, almost black early this morning. And since then, lots of clouds, all pure white, and plenty of blue skies. So the day belongs to the Giants so far, unless the Dodgers do something rather dramatic in the 9th inning. Posey bends at the knees, and now Austin Barnes going out. Talking about this Giant-Dodger rivalry, remember 1993? Giants entered the final game of the season needing a victory to force a one-game playoff with the Braves. They didn't have the wild card then. And the Giants, Dusty Baker, the manager, sent a 21-year-old Solomon Torres to the mound. And the sky fell on Solomon Torres and Dusty Baker. Big swing and a miss. Torres lasted 3 1/3 innings. The Dodgers cruised to a 12-1 victory. That was the game where Mike Piazza, the rookie of the year, hit 2 home runs. The Giants won 103 games that year, and that would be a record. But they didn't win, as the Dodgers pulled the rug right out from under them. Here's the pitch now. Big hack and a miss by our man, Hunter Pence. Pence has struck out, grounded out, struck out, popped up. Slider down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Then, of course, you may remember 2001. That's when Barry Bonds entered the final weekend here, needing 1 home run to break the record of 70 set by Mark McGwire. Well, the Dodgers obliged. He hit home runs number 71 and 72 against Jan Ho Park. Base hit. Reddick's throw to the plate is not in time, and the Giants lead 6-1 on a single to right by Hunter Pence, who finally joined the party. So Span brings it in. Remember, he had the base hit, and the error by Puig put Span in scoring position. Hunter Pence talking to his coach and picks up that big RBI. So now here's Brandon Crawford. Brandon has not hit the ball yet. No, he's had 4 plate appearances. He has struck out 3 times and drew a walk. Here comes Blanton. Fastball low and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Giants 6 runs on 14 hits. 1-0 pitch on the way. That's high. Giants had 9 hits in the first 3 innings. 10 hits in the first 4. Then they were quiet a bit, but not now. 2 hits in the inning for a run, and Blanton's 2-0 pitch down and away. 3-0 the count. That'll be something if Brandon Crawford goes to the plate 5 times and never touches the ball. 3-0 the count. Blanton 3-0. Crawford takes a strike. Just wondering, Boshi might very well have green lighted him, having a rip 3-0. Pitch was tough to handle down and on the outside part of the plate. All right, Crawford back up. Giants have left 10 men on base. 3-1 pitch. That's a strike. 3-2. So with 2 down, Pence will be going from first. Maeda, Avilan, Fields, Wood, Dayton, Baez, and Blanton. Joe Reddy in the 3-2 pitch. Pence goes, and there's a fly ball to center. Peterson on the dead run makes a superior diving try but the ball gets away, and Pence will score to make it 7-1 Giants, and Jock Peterson shaken up on the play. I think it's his right arm, I believe. Peterson, with the wind blowing towards left, was going with the wind, tried to make the catch. Well, all eyes on him. I guess Jock is young enough to survive that. It looks like he was going to catch it, hit the ground, rolled over, and the ball spilled out of his glove. Backhanded, but then he hit it hard. Might even have hurt his hand. Well, boy, he hurt something. He's going to land on that glove, and it looked like he bent his wrist a little bit, and the ball came out. So the Giants now lead 7-1. Fly ball single by Crawford to pick up a run. And a strike now to Pagan, who has a double and a single. J.P. Howell now jogging down to the Dodger bullpen. Strike one, pitch fouled away, and the count 0-2. Seven runs, 15 hits for the Giants on their way to New York. It'll be Noah Syndergaard against Madison Bumgarner. So again, Boshi has gotten his club a wild card, and they've won 2 championships from that position. Pitch to Pagan is foul back. Well, Blanton is getting a workout. Joe started off giving Spahn a base hit that got away from Puig. 2 outs later, Pence singled and Spahn scored. Then Crawford singled, and there's one into left center. That's going to land for a base hit. So the Giants are just having a ball now, and the whole city is as well. So Pagan, a fly ball single into left center. For Pagan, that would be his 3rd hit. First and second, and Joe Panik coming up. Panik single to center, flied to center, walked in the 5th inning, and flied to left in the 7th. 7 runs, 16 hits for the Giants. Blandon's pitch pulled foul outside of first. Panik single, flied to center, walk, flied to left. 1-4-3. Scored a run back in the wild 2nd inning. Blanton looks in, getting a sign. Dodgers have to be very unhappy. That's a high fly ball to center. It's Peterson fighting the sun and the wind and makes the catch. Jock's really out of time out there. So for the Giants, things are rolling their way. And we're heading to the 9th, 7-1 San Francisco. Dodger Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you exclusively on Spectrum. Oh, what a great picture. Sandy Koufax and my pal Jerry Doggett. Jerry and I worked together for 32 years. And of course, we interviewed just about everybody on site, but it was always a big thrill talking to Sandy Koufax. As we go to the 9th inning, it broke the news as Sergio Romo tries to finish up for Matt Moore. Andre Ethier, who has made the roster for the first series, the best 3 out of 5 against Washington. Ethier's at the plate. And a strike. Romo right now has assumed the closer role. He closed last night in a tough game. The night before, Casilla closed up. Andre promptly banks it into left field, base hit. So that's exactly what Dave Roberts thought. He was talking about the quality at bats that Ethier has had. So Andre comes up with the single. And the batter now will be Austin Barnes, who is batting in Seager's spot. I've always thought it was attributed to Dr. Seuss, but apparently not. It's still a good line, and it's one certainly I've been holding on to for, well, I think most of the year. Here's Barnes and Romo ready, in the first pitch to Austin, taken for a strike. The line is, don't be sad that it's over. Smile because it happened. And that's really the way I feel about this remarkable opportunity that I was given and I was allowed to keep for all these years. 0-2 the count. I said goodbye at Dodger Stadium. I'll be saying goodbye here in San Francisco shortly. My little modest message and wish for you will be right after the game. 0-2 the count. Barnes lifts one to left center. That'll be Span going on the dead run and makes a superior catch. Wow. Denard Span. Boy, it's tough out there in center field. We've seen some great plays by Peterson and Span, and boy, that was a dandy. Barnes hits it deep. It looks like Span's not going to catch up, and he does, tumbling, rolling over, holding on to the ball. So Austin Barnes loses a base hit. Yasiel Puig, the Wolves are all over him. He's popped up, struck out, grounded out, made an error. Fouls it away, and the count 0-1. There was another line that a great sports writer wrote, way back in the 20s, A.J. Liebling. And it said, the world isn't going backwards if you can just stay young enough to remember what it was like when you were really young. How about that one? Ground ball, foul. 0-2 the count to Yasiel Puig. Giants 7 runs, 16 hits, no errors. The Dodgers 1 run, a meager 4 hits. Thoroughly stopped by Matt Moore for 8 innings. And for the Dodgers, 1 error belonging to Puig. 0-2 the count. 41,445 ready to roar to the sky. 0-2. Romo deals, slider swung on and missed. Down goes Puig, so he goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And they love that. So the Dodgers are down to their last out. The Giants are thrilled to the core. Their fans are ecstatic. And the Giants are going to New York. It'll be Madison Bumgarner and Noah Syndergaard. And the Dodgers will be heading Wednesday to Washington, D.C. Romo ready. Foul back by Rob Segedin, who flied to right field in the 7th inning. So the totals for the Giants: 7 runs, 16 hits, no errors. Great job by the left-hander Matt Moore. Once again, left-handers giving the Dodgers a bad time. The Giants will have beaten the Dodgers 8 out of 10 here at AT&T Park. They will have beaten them 16 out of 20 here since last year. Strike one pitch, runner going, foul back by Segedin. Everybody up now. Ethier ready to run towards second base, and the Giants are ready to run to a celebration. Andre off the bag. Romo out of a stretch. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Runner going, and it's a slider down and away. 1-2 the count. For the Dodgers, Turner had a hit. With 2 out, Gonzalez had a hit. With 2 out, Grandal had a hit. That was the run. And they didn't have another hit until here in the 9th. 13 in a row had been retired. Second and takes low. This crowd is bursting at the seams right now. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Boy, 489 consecutive sellouts here at AT&T Park. All right, big pitch coming up. Romo out of a stretch. And the 2-2 pitch on the way. Sergio Diel, slider, hit in the air to left center. Coming over is Pagan. He puts it away. And the Giants are the wild card team. The city is going wild, appropriately enough, and they are heading for New York. No runs, 1 hit for the Dodgers, who managed to leave 4 men on base because they were the only 4 they got on base. The Giants in the Western Division are 45-31. The Dodgers are 43-33. So inside the division, they certainly were the better team. That was awfully nice. The umpire just stood up and said goodbye, as I am saying goodbye. 7 runs, 16 hits for the winning Giants. 1-4-1 for the Dodgers. The winner, Matt Moore. The loser, Kenta Maeda. I have said enough for a lifetime. And for the last time, I wish you all a very pleasant good afternoon. Many years ago, a little red-headed boy was walking home from school, passing a Chinese laundry, and stopped to see the score of a World Series game posted in the window. The Yankees beat the Giants 18-4 on October the 2nd, 1936. Well, the boy's reaction was pity for the Giants, and he became a rabid Giants fan from that day forward, until the joyous moment when he was hired to broadcast Brooklyn Dodger games in 1950. Ironically, October the 2nd, 2016 will mark my final broadcast of a Giants-Dodger game, and it will be exactly 80 years to the day since that little boy fell in love with baseball. God has been very generous to that little boy, allowing him to fulfill a dream of becoming a broadcaster and to live it for 67 years. Since 1958, you and I have really grown up together through the good times and the bad. The transistor radio is what bound us together. By the way, were you at the Coliseum when we sang Happy Birthday to an umpire? Were you among the crowd that groaned at one of my puns? Or did you kindly laugh at one of my little jokes? Did I put you to sleep with the transistor radio tucked under your pillow? You know, you were simply always there for me. I've always felt that I needed you more than you needed me, and that holds true to this very day. I've been privileged to share in your passion and love for this great game. My family means everything to me, and I'll now be able to share life's experiences with them. My wife, Sandy, our children, Kevin, Todd, Aaron, Kelly, and Catherine, along with our entire family, will join me in sharing God's blessings of that precious gift of time. You folks have truly been the wind beneath my wings, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this incredible journey of 67 years of broadcasting Dodger baseball. You know, friends, so many people have wished me congratulations on a 67-year career in baseball, and they've wished me a wonderful retirement with my family. And now, all I can do is tell you what I wish for you. May God give you for every storm a rainbow, for every tear a smile, for every care a promise, and a blessing in each trial. For every problem life seems a faithful friend to share, for every sigh a sweet song, and an answer for each prayer. You and I have been friends for a long time, but I know in my heart that I've always needed you more than you've ever needed me. And I'll miss our time together more than I can say. But you know what? There will be a new day and eventually a new year. And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball. So this is Vin Scully wishing you a very pleasant good afternoon wherever you may be.